Since arriving in Europe, I've shot 14 rolls of 35mm film. I shot my first one on the second night I was here. I'd only just gotten my first film camera. I did the Queen's Walk between Tower and London Bridge, and it took me about an hour and a half the first time, just staring at all of the history, snapping photo after photo. But when I looked around on that first walk, the thing I noticed the most was just how old everything was. I grew up in Philadelphia, which, as the United States goes, is a very old city. I went to a 300-year-old formerly Anglican church in downtown Philly called Christ Church. When I was musically inclined, I rang the carillon bells that Benjamin Franklin rang. I sat in George Washington's pew, and my sister was baptized in William Penn's baptismal font. This is what struck me as the most important aspect of Christ Church, its dedication to the preservation of history and to the preservation of time. When COVID hit, I worked for the church, photographing it and live streaming services, and that's really when I began to look at history through the lens of a camera, and to really see just how much was around me. I worked in the archives, scanning and digitizing documents written over 300 years ago. I worked to capture the collective historical memory for people to view again and again, live every Sunday. When I took that first Queen's Walk, I stumbled upon the St. Michael Cornhill Church near Bank Station. I walked inside and was immediately struck by the same architecture as Christ Church, the same preservation of history and time, but so much older. This perspective on art, architecture, and history only grew as I got further into film photography. The physicality of it, the long process. I took to taking film photos because I feel like I really have to think about it. I like the process. It's long and can be painstaking, which makes the process itself feel old too. Each step takes time, purchasing the materials, loading the film, unloading it, developing it, scanning it, editing it. The limitations that a roll of film puts on you, you're usually stuck with 36 photos, which can be too much and can sometimes be too little. Sometimes you're stuck in black and white, and most times you're locked at a certain ISO. It feels inflexible, but forgiving. And everything makes a noise. The shutter makes a noise, and you can feel it flip inside the camera. You have to unwind the film roll, rewind it at the end. You need chemicals and a physical location to develop them, and at the end of it all, you can hold the negatives in your hand, like holding a document written by someone 300 years ago. Each photo takes time. There's a history for each photo, a history that is longer than a single moment, and it's in physical form, right in front of you, like the Tower, St. Michael Cornhill, the HMS Belfast, and Christ Church, Philadelphia. Each photo contains a history greater than the image itself because it's something you have to construct rather than snap. I can remember taking every photo, the scene around me, the time of day, the temperature, taking the journey through London to the film lab, using the District Line, the Northern Line, Bank and Monument and Brick Lane, Spitalfields Market where I bought the camera lens I shot with, and the graffiti on the street outside the lab, waiting for days or weeks to get my photos back and doing it all again to pick up my negatives. I could snap a million cell phone photos and capture an entire scene without ever really looking at it, but with a 35mm camera, I have to live it. I have to think first, shoot later, and afterwards I remember it all. And that's what fascinated me on that first night taking that first walk. Looking at two parts of history right in front of me, being able to capture all of that and then adding the extra layers of my own personal experience, the old and the new and me. The Shard directly behind the tower, the double-decker buses driving over Tower Bridge, Uber boats on the Thames, and the old cathedral tucked away between two modern skyscrapers that reminds me of home. Now, in my last week here, I'm taking that walk again, with my last roll of film. With these photos, I can capture 3 moments at once: the collective memory of London, its history intertwined with modernity, my memory of that first walk, and the collection of photos I've taken since, and the here and now, my last walk around London before I leave. The photos don't exist only on my phone or a device. They exist in my hands, in my mind, and in a very specific place and time. The work that started it all, that I did for Christ Church, remains in their archives, my very own contribution to history. Just as I looked at and captured 300-year-old documents at Christ Church, maybe one day in the future, someone will look back at the history I captured on 35mm film in London. But this is roll 15 compared with roll 1, the first photos I took in London compared with the last photos I took in London. each taken on the same walk. The culmination of the over 500 photos I took this spring. Each and every photo contains a multitude of memories that go much deeper than what you can see on the surface of each image. These are the last 36 photos I'll take in Europe, and I'll cherish them.